does Deborah, being a judge in Israel, give us a template for women to be in leadership within the local church? And by that I mean being an elder or a pastor or a bishop, I guess, in the church. She is a judge. She's judge, even exercising some authority over the military Levite Barak. So there's clearly she's occupying a role. She's a judge within Israel. It's a leadership role within the nation. So what are we to make of that? Well, kind of working the other way around. Where I understand the scriptures is that the clear teaching, the example of Jesus in his appointment of the 12 apostles, who were all men, and when Judas was replaced, the disciples, they clearly understood it was to be with another man. And then with the clear teaching of that Jesus gives through Paul in 1 Timothy, I do not permit a woman to teach or to assume authority over a man. The scriptures are clear that while men and women are created equal in God's image, they are different, and there are different roles that they play, different ways that they are biologically. 10 years ago that wouldn't have been controversial even, but it's even today that's being questioned. But that's how I understand the scriptures, the way God's made us to be as men and women, equal but different. And one of the differences is that in the church, it's only men who are to lead as pastors and elders. Now they're to do that humbly under God. They're to do that lovingly as servants. They're to do that for the good of women, and in partnership with women, whether it's their wives or others in the congregation. So it's not to be a domineering thing at all. So having said that, what about Deborah? Well, I think that even within Judges 4 and 5, we get a clear sense that these are exceptional times. I guess we have to pause and think, is Judges going to be your manual for leadership? And pretty quickly you realise, no, this is a bad time for Israel, and this is weird. And you look at how God raises up even Samson, and you wouldn't make him a template for leadership. And we know that there's a refrain that comes 3 times at the end of the book about there was no king in Israel, and everyone did as they pleased. So this was a difficult time, and in these chapters there's that clue that in this difficult time, Barak should have been leading. So Deborah has God's word for him to go and to assemble Israel for the battle and to lead them. Barak says to her, I'll do that, but only if you go up with me, Deborah. And she says, yes, she will go, but because Barak's taken that stance, he won't receive the glory, but a woman will be the one who receives the glory. And sure enough, at the end we see Jael, the wife of Heber, getting the glory in that sense. And so here it seems highlighted in the story that Barak should have led and trusted the Lord with that, but didn't. And even there, Deborah didn't step forward as a judge like all the other judges in the book of Judges as a military leader. She leaves the fighting to Barak and gently rebukes him. So she's not afraid to speak and challenge him. But her demeanour towards him is to bring God's word to him, to encourage him to lead, to rebuke him for not leading, but then to go with him, but for him to still lead the army in battle. And then in chapter 5, she's the one singing, and Barak is there accompanying her. So she is not she's not the kind of woman who's men can't, they're useless. Even after Barak has not led the way that he should have done, but then he's gone into battle courageously. He did have great faith. Hebrews 12 tells us that. But she then celebrates with him and welcomes his role in that as well. So Deborah's not a proto-feminist. She has a very high view and a good attitude towards other men, not blind to their sin, willing to challenge, but with a demeanour to work alongside and with Barak leading the nation into war. So I don't think Deborah's a template or a pattern for us in the church. but she's clearly a pattern that women can be strong and have leadership roles in all kinds of other spheres of life, and it's a great thing, especially when men are failing in some ways in their duties, that the Lord raises up great and faithful women. May he continue to do so.